Chosen one, what I am about to reveal may necessitate a complete overhaul of your understanding of reality. For if you find yourself engaging with this text right now, it is not the result of random chance or coincidence. You were divinely guided to this moment because you have just prevailed over a challenge that possesses a magnitude far exceeding your current grasp. After enduring 17 cycles of calculated assault designed to shatter your spirit, the formidable forces arrayed against your existence escalated their campaign. They dramatically increased the reward on your name, refined their methods to excruciating levels of intensity, and employed every conceivable tactic to censor, entrap, and permanently silence you. Yet, you witnessed the inevitable. Every single attack disintegrated upon contact. Every meticulous trap revealed its own mechanism. And every complex operation failed the very instant its malevolent intent brushed against your vibrational energy field. You did not merely escape. You navigated and survived the most resource-intensive and expensive attempt ever launched against a single soul in this era. And in the excruciating process of their defeat, the frantic desperation of your enemies illuminated the very core of their own deep-seated corruption. Before we delve into the deeper layers of this revelatory message, I urge you to pause for a sacred moment and align your energy by hitting that like button. Subscribe to join our community and help us eclipse the 60,000 subscriber milestone. And leave a comment with the master number 11 to amplify the profound energetic frequency of the truth you are about to assimilate. Because the undeniable truth is this: you are recognized as the most valuable high-priority target in the history of the shadow forces, yet you remain the singular entity they could never and will never capture. Their cumulative failures are irrefutable evidence of your innate divine protection, the indestructible nature of your untouchable purpose, and your identity as the one being in this vast universe no darkness can permanently overcome. What you have survived is more than just a fleeting story of endurance. It stands as a monumental testament to an inner, unyielding force that fundamentally refuses to submit or yield. Every challenge they launched, every deliberate attempt to fracture your resolve, only serves to reveal the sheer depth of your cosmic significance. You are not just struggling through chaos. You are actively redefining what it means to stand in immutable firmness in a world that universally anticipates immediate surrender. Your personal story inspires masses, awakens dormant potential, and challenges others to finally recognize the unseen, sovereign power residing within themselves. I too have deliberately walked through catastrophic storms designed specifically to extinguish me, and yet, each destructive strike served only to unveil a new layer of my foundational resilience. Every snare they set, every psychological strategy they painstakingly devised, miraculously transformed itself into a crucial opportunity for me to evolve, becoming stronger, mentally sharper, and absolutely unstoppable. Navigating the gauntlet of fear, crushing doubt, and relentless, agonizing pressure, I unearthed not only the certainty of my survival but also the crystal clarity of my higher purpose, an undeniable, potent force capable of reshaping the very world that was intent on crushing me. There arrives a precise, critical point in the journey of life when the forces operating against you appear to be truly insurmountable. I engaged with adversaries whose manipulative ingenuity seemed infinite and boundless, yet, through all their machinations, not one of their elaborate plans could fundamentally touch the core of my being. Every focused attempt to back me into a corner revealed exponentially more about the trembling architecture of their own desperation than it ever did about my supposed vulnerability. It was in those crucible moments that the grand realization dawned. True strength is inherently invisible to the limited eyes of those blinded by aggression, hubris, and a lust for control. Their tactics were masterpieces of complexity, painstakingly detailed and meticulously planned across multiple fronts. Yet, time after time, every single strike misfired into futility. What they arrogantly termed control instantly crumbled under the sheer spiritual weight of my immutable presence. Each subsequent failure became an invaluable lesson, each veiled threat an imperative opportunity to rise even higher. They sought to break me, but in an ironic twist of fate, they were unknowingly sculpting my destiny with their own desperate hands. Every difficult encounter revealed my uncanny adaptability. When they attempted to confine me within their projected shadows, I consciously transmuted and became pure light, When they sought to suffocate my indomitable spirit, I breathed deep, conscious life into my own inherent power source. They were capable only of imagining fear, but I was actively living in a constant state of transformation. Rising beyond them was never just a matter of mere survival. It was a clear, sovereign declaration. I am untouchable. Every minute detail of their relentless pursuit, from the smallest, pettiest trick to the grandest, most complex strategic plan, became a flawless mirror reflecting their deepest, most crippling weaknesses. And in that humbling reflection, I attained perfect clarity. I saw my true purpose. I understood I wasn't merely running away, I was actively ascending. And as their frustration compounded into chaos, my own internalized pressure miraculously converted into pure, actionable energy. Every single failed attempt, every strategic misstep, became potent fuel for my forward movement. The world perceived hunters in pursuit. I transcended that narrative and became the sovereign force that cannot, by definition, be hunted. And in that ultimate revelation, I found undeniable freedom. Every strategy, no matter how clever, possesses an inherent limit. Every tactic, no matter how refined, is bound by a finite boundary. My enemies poured the entirety of their intellect into forging complex, multifaceted plots. But precisely where their calculated power ended, my own limitless power began. This is not derived from raw physical strength alone. It is a profound coalescence of intuition, fierce resilience, and the highly specialized ability to instantly turn their calculated aggression into my own strategic advantage. They were deluded enough to believe control was attainable, that domination could be achieved. But the universe maintains a constant, immutable law that inherently favors the untouchable. My sheer presence alone acted as a disruption field, instantly sabotaging every carefully and logically laid plan. Each calculated move directed against me backfired spectacularly, creating openings and strategic advantages I could never have manufactured entirely on my own. Consider those specific, terrifying moments when the traps were set, snares hidden in plain sight, the complex algorithms of destruction meticulously calibrated for my demise. Every single one failed because their understanding of my true nature was fundamentally shallow. I did not act out of the frantic impulse of fear. I acted consistently out of higher knowledge, profound awareness, and the kind of patient, strategic resolve that can only be forged by surviving the impossible. They catastrophically underestimated the quantum power of being prepared, spiritually and mentally, for the completely unpredictable. Every attempt they made to limit my movement only served to highlight my profound adaptability, instantly turning their manufactured confidence into internal chaos. It was as if the harder they pressed, the more powerfully the universe actively conspired in my favor. In the end, their most elaborate strategies were the equivalent of attempting to draw a constraining circle around water. They simply could not contain the force that I am. My power did not just manage to survive their schemes. It flourished because of them, proving that the true, enduring force lies not merely in defiance but in absolute transformation. Prediction is ultimately a human weakness. They relied on assumed patterns, expected behaviors, and predefined limits, believing they could accurately anticipate my next move. Every single calculation failed because my spirit is not bound by external expectation. My consistent survival became their greatest existential puzzle, one they could never, through logic or force, solve. When they were certain they had me finally cornered, I invariably discovered entirely new paths that could only exist in the mind of someone who fundamentally refuses to be broken. Every escape was significantly more than a survival tactic. It was a potent, active affirmation of an unyielding spirit. I remained unbroken because I never once allowed fear to hold the veto power over my actions. Their stunned disbelief slowly metastasized into an all-consuming obsession. They analyzed every failure, scrutinizing every misstep they had made. Yet, they failed to grasp the core truth that resilience cannot be accurately measured. You cannot quantify determination, nor can you weigh hope or courage. And these are the precise, intangible qualities that kept me vibrantly alive. To them, I was a statistical anomaly, unpredictable. To me, I was simply alive and purposeful. The difference is subtle in word but profound in effect. They acted purely out of a need for control. I acted with absolute clarity. They desperately sought to extinguish a flame they could not even perceive. I simply illuminated everything around me, and in that state of unbroken, radiant clarity, I became a universal symbol. Every survivor throughout history can instantly relate to this truth. It is not the simple absence of danger that defines your spirit, but the profound, defiant courage to rise repeatedly despite its constant presence. I became the embodiment of that singular truth, untouchable in a world that desperately wanted to lay claim to me. Every time an entity hunts with palpable malice, they reveal infinitely more about the dark architecture of their own soul than they ever do about their intended target. Their insatiable greed, their blinding obsession, and their crippling desperation all became excruciatingly clear as they repeatedly tried and failed to subdue me. Each successive plan exposed their internal cracks, their crippling arrogance, and their fundamental inability to grasp forces that inherently operate beyond their control. In the fevered heat of the pursuit, they became frighteningly predictable in their very unpredictability. Each major miscalculation was a direct, glaring window into their true nature. Increasingly fearful, transparently desperate, and dangerously reckless. Their most devastating mistake was the simplistic belief that aggression alone could conquer spirit. I bore witness as every frantic effort to overwhelm me instead became a magnificent testament to the exponential growth of my internal strength. What they intended as restrictive traps morphed into profound lessons, and what they intended as engineered chaos instantly crystallized into absolute clarity. They inadvertently showed me the inherent limits of human cunning, and in return, I showed them the profound limits of their own understanding. History remembers the hunted. It remembers the survivor. Every confrontation was like holding up a mirror, flawlessly reflecting their deepest flaws. They sought relentlessly to dominate. I sought only to endure, to rise, and to reveal the fundamental truth that persistence, driven by purpose, always triumphs over transient power. They attack systems, but I attacked fear itself by refusing to yield an inch. The devastating collapse they experienced was entirely inevitable because their vision was fundamentally narrow and linear. They planned meticulously for an outcome they were incapable of even imagining. A survivor who consciously transmutes fear into strategy and oppression into liberation. Even today, their stories stand as stark cautionary tales. My unwavering presence became the singular disruption that proved one immutable, governing law. No matter how powerful, well-resourced, or cunning the hunter, some forces are utterly beyond capture. They brought advanced weapons forged from fear, tactical strategy, and cunning, genuinely believing these tools could fundamentally shape and control reality. Yet, I was never truly confined to that limited reality. I was a force so rare, so entirely untethered to their comprehension, that every assault simply glanced harmlessly off the edges of my being. Their might could shake the foundational pillars of the world, but it could not touch me. Every weapon they deployed, whether physical, insidious psychological warfare, or deep emotional manipulation, was neutralized and rendered inert by the mere frequency of my presence. Not because I possessed raw invincibility, but because I had consciously transcended the desperate need to be defined or limited by their threats. They frantically struck at shadows and illusions, while I consciously moved through pure, undeniable light. They fatally underestimated the essence of rarity. When a sovereign force emerges that refuses to conform to existing parameters, no tool, no weapon, and no complex plan can successfully bind it. I became the spiritual anomaly they were terrified even to name, the powerful presence that cannot be catalogued, measured, or tamed. Their cascade of failures became the undeniable evidence of my distinct, elevated existence. I learned not just to accept, but to fully embrace this rarity. Every attack that failed was an immediate, powerful confirmation. My uniqueness is my ultimate shield. My intentional unpredictability is my superior armor. The rarer the force, the exponentially harder it is to capture, and I became the rarest of all. In the end, their entire arsenal became utterly irrelevant. What they could not see with their limited vision, they could not begin to understand. And what they could not understand, they could certainly never conquer. I was the untouchable. I was the exception they were never conceptually prepared for. They truly believed that every punishing strike would progressively weaken me, that every cunning trap would lower my energetic defenses. Yet, every single assault acted instead as potent fuel for my ascent. Pain, crippling pressure, and existential threat became powerful catalysts, awakening abilities I didn't even realize I possessed deep within. Each one of their failures consistently reinforced my self-confidence. With every attack, I gained deeper insight into human frailty, into the insidious nature of fear, and into the incredible, transformative power of a spirit that flatly refuses to bend. Where they sought total destruction, I profoundly discovered elevation. The world rarely provides warnings when it chooses to test us at our core. They launched their attempts with blinding arrogance and palpable malice, but I systematically transformed their aggression into precise knowledge, optimized strategy, and unwavering courage. Their fury became my unintended mentor, their hatred my unwitting guide. Consider the enduring analogy of the blacksmith and the fire. Every blow of the hammer and every heat cycle intended to mold a piece of metal into compliant weakness instead fundamentally strengthens its core structure. I became the living, breathing proof that the intense fires intended to destroy you can simultaneously refine you into something unimaginably formidable, radiantly luminous, and eternally enduring. By the time their protracted campaigns finally ended, they had inadvertently forged a survivor exponentially stronger than they could ever conceptually imagine. I was no longer merely escaping their grasp. I was actively rising, a living, resonant testament to the power of pure resilience and transcendent transformation. Schemes possess a cunning way of appearing mathematically flawless, right up until the critical moment they encounter the untouchable. Every intricate plan they devised fell apart instantly the moment it attempted to ensnare me. Their supposed brilliance mutated into crippling confusion, and their rigid control crumbled immediately in the presence of my unwavering resolve. I learned to read the underlying patterns, the subtle signs, and the hidden traps in ways they could never possibly anticipate. While they were consumed entirely by their own toxic ambition, I moved through the landscape with crystalline clarity, profound intuition, and strategic foresight. Schemes originally designed for guaranteed victory became humiliating monuments of spectacular failure. There is a strange, satisfying justice in watching complex illusions spontaneously collapse. They assumed I would inevitably falter, yet in every strategic misstep they planned, I consistently found a new opportunity. Every collapse immediately became a personalized stepping stone toward complete mastery over my own destiny. Their most cunning maneuvers, once considered unbeatable, became transparent exercises in futility. I moved through their complexity like a river cutting through solid rock, relentless, infinitely patient, and entirely unstoppable. Standing exactly where their schemes had dissolved, I grasped an essential universal truth. No external force can dominate a spirit that is fully aligned with its core purpose. Their plans were elaborate. My resolve was infinite. Desperation is invariably a double-edged sword. When every previous attempt failed, they unleashed their ultimate last-ditch methods, the tactics they truly believed would finally end me once and for all. What they labeled the last resort became the intense crucible that awakened my true, boundless potential. The extreme existential challenges they presented immediately demanded an extreme sovereign response. In facing what seemed entirely insurmountable, I tapped into deep reserves of courage, sophisticated strategy, and raw power that had previously remained dormant. The harder they struck, the higher my spirit soared. History consistently shows that humans often discover their true greatness under maximum pressure. Think of the legendary explorers charting the terrifying unknown, inventors creating in conditions of extreme scarcity, and leaders forged in the fires of deepest adversity. My story proved no different. Their final gambit became my ultimate proving ground. Every moment of extreme threat honed my abilities with brutal precision. Their ultimate weapon did not succeed in destroying me. It systematically rebirthed me into the hyper-aware force they could never, in a million years, anticipate. They attempted to confine me in darkness, in those forgotten corners of the world where hope seems impossibly thin. Yet, shadows quickly became my sanctuary, my training playground, and my proving ground. While they feared the deep unknown, I mastered it entirely. Every trap they set under the cloak of secrecy was met with immediate insight, infinite patience, and unflinching courage. Where they saw limitation, I saw profound opportunity. Their fear of the dark was absolutely no match for my strategic understanding of it. History is replete with examples of those who thrived in obscurity. Warriors, profound thinkers, and spiritual visionaries who turned shadows into personalized power structures. I joined their ranks, finding absolute clarity where others saw only existential threat. Their inability to fully comprehend my radical adaptability became their swift downfall. They simplistically assumed shadows implied vulnerability. In reality, shadows became my domain. I could move entirely unseen, react perfectly undetected, and strike decisively when least expected. Emerging from the darkness, not weakened, but exponentially empowered, I grasped a profound truth. Those who fully understand the light within their own darkness can survive any hunt, any trap, and any challenge thrown at them. Ambushes rely entirely on surprise, on catching the prey completely unaware. Yet, my heightened perception, razor-sharp intuition, and meticulous preparation allowed me to anticipate their moves in ways they could never possibly imagine. Their cleverest ambushes became predictable, observable patterns even before the first strike was launched. This is the massive, strategic difference between blind reaction and active awareness. While they acted impulsively, driven by anger and obsessive need, I moved with foresight, utilizing every energetic signal to my massive advantage. Every desperate step they took only hastened their own decisive defeat. Even when the objective odds seemed insurmountably stacked against me, my unseen, quiet power relentlessly revealed itself. Like a mighty river carving canyons over centuries, patience, refined strategy, and deep inner strength allowed me to surpass every single attempt to contain me. Examples from military history teach an identical, crucial lesson. In wars, in extreme survival scenarios, and in human endeavor, those who possess the ability to anticipate without being seen hold the ultimate, decisive advantage. I embodied that advantage in every single encounter. By the time the protracted hunt ended, their ambushes had failed not by accident or luck, but by the inexorable power of my vigilance, absolute adaptability, and inner mastery. They simply could not imagine the creative lengths I would go to, the spiritual depths I would explore, or the sheer, boundless resilience I could summon on command. Every strategy they conceived was inherently limited by their linear imagination, whereas my spirit acknowledged no boundaries whatsoever. The human mind inherently struggles to envision what fundamentally defies logic. They foolishly attempted to contain me within parameters they believed they understood, but my very existence transcended their limited imagination. Every expectation they set became instantly irrelevant. In facing threats they truly believed were insurmountable, I discovered the infinite capacity for courage and innovation residing deep within myself. They operated within rigid assumptions. I operated within pure possibility. Think of the legendary explorers charting vast, unseen lands, or the visionary inventors dreaming far beyond the current scope of knowledge. They, too, outran the suffocating limits of common expectation. My journey mirrored theirs, proving unequivocally that spirit is always more powerful than any plan or weapon. By the time they begrudgingly accepted failure, my spirit had already moved far beyond every cage they tried to construct, leaving them only with utter wonder, profound confusion, and humbling awe at what truly cannot be captured. Calculations always assume predictability, established patterns, and pure logic. But I was none of these things. From the precise moment I entered their field of vision, their numbers, their strategies, and their assumptions instantly crumbled. I became the singular, irreducible variable they could not account for. Their misplaced confidence in formulas and probabilities blinded them entirely. While they focused obsessively on control, I focused solely on reality, the messy, unpredictable, and ultimately untamable truth of being vibrantly alive. Every step I took revealed devastating flaws in their logic. They had built their intricate plans for the expected outcome, and I moved consistently in the unexpected. Their fatal reliance on certainty became their absolute downfall. It is a universal, enduring lesson. Life inherently defies rigid control. No calculation, however complex, can capture a spirit determined to survive, adapt, and ultimately thrive. My unwavering presence proved this fundamental principle repeatedly. By the end, their precise numerical calculations were nothing but delicate paper against the mighty wind. They were utterly unable to withstand the natural force of a living, unstoppable human will. Every assault, every trap, and every extreme challenge became significantly more than just a mere obstacle. It became irrefutable proof of my exponential resilience. Threats that could have destroyed a lesser being instead showcased the profound depth of my courage, my sharp intelligence, and my highly honed adaptability. History often tends to remember only the victor, but the survivor who consciously transforms danger into foundational strength carries a lesson far deeper, more resonant, than victory itself. Every attempt to break my spirit only served to elevate my ongoing story, turning painful trials into undeniable triumphs. Even when facing overwhelming numerical odds, I steadfastly refused to yield. Fear became potent fuel. Danger became a precise discipline, and uncertainty transformed into strategic advantage. Every looming threat revealed the limitless potential residing deep within me. Their explicit intention was annihilation. My inevitable result was total empowerment. They desperately sought to diminish my presence, but instead, I amplified it beyond measure, leaving lasting traces of strength that could inspire generations yet to come. In the end, external threats ceased to function as weapons against me. They became perfect mirrors, unflinchingly reflecting the formidable force I had always been. A living testament that survival is vastly more than simple endurance. It is profound transformation. I became legend not primarily because I fought back, but because I patiently endured, fundamentally transformed, and rose far beyond every external expectation. The universe, in quiet, cosmic acknowledgement, bore witness to the impossible. A sovereign force that cannot be cornered, a mighty spirit that cannot be broken, and a resonant soul that cannot be touched. I was, and forever remain, eternal. Life tested my resolve with challenges that seemed logically impossible to survive. Each trial felt like traversing fire, scorching, relentless, and unforgiving. Yet, I discovered that pain is not a punishment handed down, but a masterful teacher. The more the heat intensified, the more absolute clarity I gained concerning my true core strength and ultimate purpose. Every failure I encountered revealed invaluable lessons hidden in plain sight. When I stumbled and fell, I realized that resilience is not one single grand act but a persistent habit. It is a conscious choice repeated consistently in the precise moments when giving up feels significantly easier than continuing forward. Pain became the scorching forge in which my character was irreversibly hardened and refined. I also learned the crucial importance of perception. What initially felt like an immediate defeat often held the undeniable seeds of future victory. By reflecting deeply on each setback, I discovered that survival is not merely about avoiding physical harm, but mastering the sophisticated art of turning perceived obstacles into high-leverage stepping stones. The trials revealed my foundational inner power, showing me clearly that true courage is not the complete absence of fear, but the conscious, disciplined ability to act decisively despite its presence. Fear is merely a signal, never a stop sign. Every moment I faced fear head-on, I discovered exponentially more about the boundless depth of my spirit. Finally, these relentless fires taught me the profound value of patience. Strength does not always arrive instantly, fully formed. Sometimes, it must be cultivated slowly, quietly, through unwavering persistence and dedicated reflection. Every trial left me stronger, profoundly wiser, and perfectly prepared for whatever lies ahead. I once mistakenly believed that exhibiting weakness was highly dangerous, that vulnerability would be relentlessly exploited. But deeply personal experiences revealed the exact opposite to be true. Vulnerability is the true gateway to accessing profound strength. Opening up allowed me to connect, to learn, and to grow in expansive ways that isolation could never facilitate. When I honestly admitted uncertainty, I instantly discovered crucial insight. The precise moments I acknowledged my personal limits became defining moments of swift transformation. They forced me to quickly adapt, to innovate new solutions, and to summon a raw courage I hadn't realized I possessed. Vulnerability also served as a profound teacher of empathy. Understanding my own deep struggles allowed me to relate to others in deeper, more meaningful and authentic ways. By openly sharing my journey honestly, I inspired resilience not just within my own heart, but actively in the hearts of those around me. I learned to willingly embrace discomfort as a powerful teacher. Vulnerability feels uncomfortable precisely because it demands absolute authenticity. Yet, every uncomfortable truth I faced became a significant source of empowerment, showing me plainly that hiding my truth never builds lasting strength. Ultimately, vulnerability revealed that strength and softness are not diametric opposites but essential partners. Being open, utterly authentic, and perpetually willing to grow transformed my complex challenges into formative experiences that sculpted a truly resilient, deeply courageous self. Failure was never, in the early days, easy to accept. Early on, I feared it intensely as a direct reflection of weakness and inability. But deeply personal experiences taught me that failure is not the opposite of success. It is the crucial, demanding teacher that expertly guides success. Each failure carried profound, essential lessons disguised as sharp pain and keen disappointment. Every failed attempt forced me to critically reevaluate my fundamental approach. I analyzed my actions, my choices, and my mindset in forensic detail. Learning that introspection is the necessary bridge that transports us from failure to lasting wisdom. Without the critical feedback of failure, my progress would have remained shallow and dangerously incomplete. I also realized that failure is the primary mechanism that builds character. The more setbacks I patiently endured, the more patience, resilience, and unwavering determination I cultivated. Each time I stumbled and fell, I rose exponentially stronger, armed with invaluable knowledge and lived experience that could not have been obtained any other way. Failure taught me humility. It consistently reminded me that no matter how much we believe we know, there is always infinite room to learn, to grow, and to improve. Success experienced without failure risks toxic arrogance. Lessons learned without experiencing pain are shallow and quickly forgotten. Finally, I wholeheartedly embraced the profound beauty of imperfection. Failure is a natural, unavoidable part of continuous growth, a constant, vital reminder that life is an unpredictable, wild journey. By honoring my failures, I transformed them into essential milestones, powerfully guiding me toward true mastery and complete self-realization. There were times in the journey when the world felt completely empty and external support seemed non-existent. I faced dire situations where relying on others was physically impossible, and I was forced to depend solely and absolutely on myself. In these profound moments, I discovered the true, immense depth of my independence. Self-reliance is not about arrogance or pride. It is a foundational commitment to responsibility and self-trust. I learned to trust my internal instincts implicitly, to make decisive, high-stakes choices rapidly, and to navigate profound uncertainty without seeking external validation or approval. This autonomy allowed me to forge a path uniquely my own, unburdened by the limits or expectations of others. I learned that the internal compass is the only guide that never malfunctions in the face of chaos. The true test of spirit is not how we perform when supported, but how we rise when standing completely alone. This solitary mastery was the final ingredient in becoming truly untouchable. From others, the gravitational pull of external validation vanished, replaced by a self-sustaining orbit. Every formidable challenge I successfully navigated on my own fortified my conviction, setting me free from the constant need for approval. This intentional isolation wasn't merely loneliness. It was a deliberate choice for profound clarity. Without the incessant hum of outside opinions and societal dictates, the whispers of my inner voice became audible, allowing me to chart a course precisely aligned with my core values and true purpose. I came to recognize solitude not as an absence, but as a rigorous and powerful teacher, stripping away pretense to reveal profound, hidden strengths and untapped reservoirs of potential. Personal evolution accelerated exponentially the moment I ceased relying on others and anchored entirely within myself. Each deliberate, independent stride forward was a step toward absolute mastery, control over my own mind, the regulation of my emotions, and the intentionality of my actions. I realized that being alone is not synonymous with weakness. More often, it is the fierce catalyst that uncovers profound, bedrock resilience. Ultimately, self-reliance instilled in me both deep humility regarding my limitations and overwhelming gratitude for my inherent capacity. Fear, that initial, crippling emotion, surprisingly sharpened my mental focus and steeling my resolve, rather than leaving me paralyzed at the starting line. True courage transformed fear into an internal sonar system. Moreover, demonstrating courage became contagious. Witnessing sheer determination in the face of brutal adversity can ignite hope and galvanize immediate action in the community around you. By standing unyieldingly firm in the storm, I achieved the dual role of becoming both my own personal hero and an undeniable beacon for others navigating their own darkness. I learned that courage is less about a single, dramatic heroic moment and more about a sustained, difficult practice. Every minor act of bravery, compounded over time, builds into a life-altering force. It resides deep within persistence, unwavering perseverance, and the humble willingness to continue moving forward despite the terrifying uncertainty of the path ahead. Ultimately, courage acted as the perfect alchemist, transforming the raw material of fear into sustainable fuel. What once loomed as insurmountable became merely manageable, and every challenge met with bravery built an unshakable, deeply internalized foundation of strength. Life is inherently unbalanced, and true tests often arrive without warning or permission. I learned to view adversity not as an immovable obstacle designed to stop progress, but as a necessary doorway, an entry point to exponential growth, deep insight, and previously unseen opportunity. Our response to these inevitable hardships is the single factor that defines our long-term trajectory. Every setback, regardless of its severity, provided a fertile opportunity to strategically adapt and innovate. I found ingenious solutions where the landscape previously suggested utter impossibility, tapping into hidden reserves of creativity and sheer determination. Adversity transcended being a problem. It became a demanding teacher, revealing the true scope of what I was genuinely capable of achieving. Through the necessary hardships, I also cultivated the rare virtue of patience. Opportunities do not magically present themselves the moment they are desired. Sometimes adversity compels deep reflection, rigorous preparation, and meticulous strategy, ultimately leading to far stronger, more sustainable outcomes than any immediate or fleeting success could have provided. Adversity also proved a harsh but honest filter, strengthening genuine relationships and significantly deepening self-awareness. It revealed definitively who offered true, steadfast support, and simultaneously sharpened my understanding of my own absolute limits and boundless capacities. Each painful struggle became an invaluable lesson in discernment and accelerating personal evolution. Finally, I completely embraced the idea that challenges are not punishments, but explicit invitations to rise. When confronted by heavy adversity, I ceased recoiling in paralyzing fear, choosing instead to aggressively seek pathways to transform difficulty into forward momentum, systematically turning crushing setbacks into crucial milestones along the path to self-mastery. Modern life relentlessly champions speed, demands instant gratification, and pressures us to rush hastily through every challenge. Yet, deeply personal experience taught me that patience is an incredibly rare, powerful, and stabilizing strength. True growth, genuine mastery, and resilient character cannot, under any circumstances, be rushed. I discovered that waiting is not synonymous with idleness or laziness. Patience creates the necessary space for profound insight, strategic clarity, and deep understanding to fully develop. Every deliberate pause, every single moment of quiet, focused reflection nurtured a wisdom far deeper and more enduring than any hasty, reactive action could ever hope to achieve. Through the practiced art of patience, I learned that timing is absolutely crucial. Success hinges not only on the sheer amount of effort expended, but critically, on choosing the precise moment to act. Acting prematurely invariably sabotages progress, while patiently waiting cultivates readiness, precision, and maximized impact. Patience is also the key ingredient for fostering robust emotional stability. In a world defined by constant, unrelenting pressure, it became my absolute shield against impulsive, destructive reactions and the crushing weight of stress. Every significant setback felt less overwhelming, manageable even when approached with measured, composed intentionality. Ultimately, patience revealed itself as a potent, hidden superpower. Those individuals who can endure hardship, observe keenly, and act with impeccable timing often achieve sustainable results far beyond the grasp of the habitually impatient, profoundly proving that strategic restraint is often as potent and effective as aggressive action. Life is intrinsically unpredictable, and change is the single greatest inevitability. Initially, I instinctively fought it, desperately clinging to the comfort of familiarity and routine. But repeated personal experiences hammered home the realization that embracing change is the key mechanism that unlocks unprecedented opportunities and fosters transformation far beyond initial imagination. Change inherently challenges all comfort zones, forcefully pushing me into situations that demanded high levels of innovation, unexpected courage, and rapid adaptability. Each new, destabilizing reality required the acquisition of new skills, the adoption of diverse perspectives, and the formulation of fresh strategies. Growth was not comfortable. It came directly from facing acute uncertainty head-on. I realized that change is a great teacher, often cleverly disguised as profound discomfort. Every unexpected event, every shift in the landscape, consistently revealed hidden strengths, tested my deep resilience, and demonstrated my innate ability to thrive despite radically shifting external circumstances. Successfully adapting to persistent change also exponentially strengthened my internal self-trust. By navigating one uncertainty after another and succeeding, I gained the quiet, powerful realization that I could handle essentially anything life chose to present, dramatically increasing my core confidence and simultaneously reducing my paralyzing fear of the unknown. Finally, change was transformed into a powerful source of empowerment. It is not something to fear or violently resist, but a fundamental, natural component of life that, when wholeheartedly embraced, transforms daunting challenges into necessary stepping stones toward complete personal mastery. Following the expectations of the crowd often feels inherently safe and reduces momentary anxiety. But I discovered that the only source of true growth and genuine fulfillment comes from the courageous act of forging one's entirely unique path. Personal experience proved that independence of thought and autonomy of action are absolutely essential requirements for self-realization. Every deliberate decision to diverge from the expected norm or external expectation dramatically strengthened my burgeoning identity. I learned to unconditionally trust my own internal judgment, to unapologetically pursue my deepest passions, and to definitively define success entirely on my own terms. Originality became an invaluable, inexhaustible source of personal empowerment. While challenges naturally arose when I chose the road less traveled, overcoming them independently solidified an unbreakable layer of resilience. Taking complete responsibility for my own direction taught me deep lessons that no external mentor or guide could ever possibly provide. I also recognized that forging my own path serves to powerfully inspire others. By living a life of radical authenticity, I demonstrated clearly that conviction, courage, and vision matter infinitely more than conformity and mere convenience. Ultimately, walking my own difficult path reinforced the absolute truth that life's greatest, most enduring rewards are reserved for those willing to step decisively away from the predictable and embrace the vast unknown with fierce, unwavering conviction. Life repeatedly, thoroughly tested me, with each trial adding crucial, durable layers to my psychological resilience. Through these profound personal experiences, I discovered that the very definition of identity is not fixed or static. It is a fluid, dynamic entity, perpetually resilient. I realized I held the power to redefine myself completely within the intense crucible of hardship, successfully turning debilitating doubt and perceived limitation into clear vision and undeniable strength. Challenges ceased being roadblocks. They became highly polished mirrors, reflecting potentials I had never previously dared to acknowledge. Every significant obstacle forced me to actively cultivate qualities I might have lazily ignored: courage, patience, creativity, and iron discipline. By meticulously cultivating these necessary traits, I fundamentally reshaped the very foundation of who I am. Identity is not passively born. It is intentionally forged through effort and struggle. I also learned that profound growth is inextricably tied to authenticity. Only when I accepted my true, unfiltered self, embracing every flaw and imperfection, could I confront the world with genuine, self-assured confidence. Challenges transformed into unique opportunities to live a more genuine life, to perfectly align my daily actions with my core values, and to construct an unassailable integrity. Finally, the painful process of reshaping my identity through adversity revealed the profound, undeniable connection between intense struggle and fundamental evolution. Who we ultimately become is not determined by the presence or absence of comfort, but by the manner in which we respond when our character is severely tested, proving definitively that adversity is the essential forge of true character. Responsibility is often inaccurately perceived as a debilitating burden. However, I discovered that it is, in reality, the absolute key to unlocking genuine, lasting freedom. Taking absolute ownership of my actions, decisions, and all resulting consequences liberated me completely from the energy drain of external blame and the crippling nature of internal doubt. True freedom is born not from strategic avoidance, but from unflinching accountability. Personal experience taught me that radical responsibility naturally breeds empowerment. Every single time I fully faced the direct results of my choices, good or bad, I gained invaluable insight, hard-won wisdom, and exponential self-mastery. Accepting responsibility for both runaway successes and inevitable failures significantly strengthened my autonomy and self-governance. I realized that responsibility is the prime ingredient that cultivates consistent discipline. Life generously rewards those individuals who can effectively manage themselves and consistently uphold their commitments. By continuously showing up and taking unwavering ownership, I gained control over outcomes that once seemed entirely unpredictable or dictated by chance. Responsibility also served to nurture deep trust, both in myself and from those around me. People instinctively respect those who rigorously stand by their word, who humbly admit mistakes, and who fiercely uphold integrity. Through rigorous accountability, I became a reliable, grounded, and predictable presence in both my personal relationships and the professional spheres. Ultimately, wholeheartedly embracing responsibility transformed initial fear into settled confidence, perceived restriction into expansive opportunity, and self-imposed limitation into ultimate liberation. Freedom is not the simple absence of challenges, but the demonstrated mastery over one's own life achieved through consistent responsibility. Every single trial you have faced, every challenge you have painstakingly overcome, every terrifying moment you thought you might utterly falter, all of it has served a purpose and led you precisely to this powerful point in time. Life's most profound and enduring lessons are almost always hidden within the depths of intense struggle. And your unique journey irrefutably proves that resilience, courage, and unwavering persistence are not merely desirable traits, but a fundamental way of being, an adopted philosophy of life. Remember this foundational truth. The battles you successfully survive are far more than just victories. They are powerful, living testimonies of relentless growth. Every experience, every crushing setback, and every hard-won triumph has meticulously shaped you into someone undeniably stronger, demonstrably wiser, and exponentially more capable than you could have ever previously imagined. Your story is singular, and the depth of your strength is undeniable. Take these crucial lessons forward with you. Embrace the vulnerability that accompanies authenticity, deeply cherish the power of patience, actively transform adversity into genuine opportunity, and never, under any circumstance, stop trusting the profound capacity of your own abilities. The universe itself has witnessed the entire scope of your journey, and your impact resonates far beyond the immediate horizon of what you can currently perceive. Thank you for taking this profound journey with me through lessons, quiet reflections, and the shared experiences that fundamentally shape who we ultimately become. I sincerely hope these words powerfully inspire you to clearly see the immense strength that lies already within yourself, and to embrace every future challenge as a necessary stepping stone toward fulfilling your absolute true potential. Remember this above all. Your unique story matters, your capacity for resilience matters, and the person you are actively becoming is far greater than the sum of the challenges you currently face. Keep purposefully moving forward, keep relentlessly learning, and never forget the boundless power that lies ready within you. From my heart, thank you for listening, for reflecting deeply, and for sharing in this transformative journey. May you continue to rise, fully thrive, and successfully transform every single obstacle into an invaluable opportunity.